Hi everyone, it's Lisa. Today I'm going to demonstrate a different way than you've probably seen to put a border on a block. I have a scrap block here. I managed to spill coffee on one of my Flutterby blocks, so I'm going to use it as a demonstration today. And I've just got some scrap 2-inch stuff that I'm going to use as a border. The very first thing you should do is make sure that your border strips are long enough to overlap both your quilt and the size of whatever border you're trying to cross. And once you do that, you know what I did. I glue basted so that my strips stay straight, and I sewed, and I'm going to show you how you should sew. After you put your border on, pin it, you want to sew from this back side. And you want to sew from the back side so that you can easily see where the corner is. And you want to sew on each side within a 1/4 inch of the corner. One of my super favorite tools is my Marti Michell Deluxe corner trimmer. And what this will do for you is very easily just line up the corner and drop your pencil in and mark right there on the dot. Or if you have a 1/4 piecing foot, as I do, you can simply align your guides along there and start and stop where you need to. So as you can see, I have all of my corners sewn. I have my overlap. Now I'm going to show you the money shot. I am going to leave this. So we're gonna let's get oriented. Let me get oriented so I can orient you. This is the right side. This is the top. And we're going to keep, turning our work, but we're always going to be working with the right side and the top. Now, we're going to pretend we're doing what we normally do when we bind. All right? We're going to take this top border, so we're always going to work top border, and we're going to make a 45. And then the right border is going to go over the top. And what you're going to do, this is already perfectly aligned, so you need to make sure that the bottom, because if you're wonky here, if you don't have a 45 here, then this isn't going to be straight. But you know it's going to be straight if you line up everything perfectly, as I'm doing here. So don't move this over, move the bottom one so that it's perfectly straight. And if you like, and you know I do, I'm going to give that a press. Now, next thing you are going to want to do is either clip or pin it. I would typically just glue baste it, but I'll pin it since most of you guys probably do that. Now, the very next thing we're going to do is that we don't really have any guides here. So we're going to turn our work over so that the corner dot that we see is here. I'm going to slide my cutting mat. This is a 30-year-old cutting mat, and I hate it. But it's perfect. I can slide it on my ironing board. I am using my Creative Grids diamond 45-degree diamond dimensions, which works really well. And I'll do another corner and I'll show you how to use another ruler. But what's nice about this is that I can perfectly align this hole. I'm going to get a little closer for you. Okay. This ruler, look over here to this bottom. You see that line is 1/4 inch from the edge. And this hole I need to give you something that you can look at a little easier. What's nice about this ruler is I've got a perfect, this is going to be a perfect angle that we need. And that's going to do our miter. This hole here is going to be at the intersect of the seam lines. Now, if your 1/4 inch is off, if you've jiggled and jogged in doing that, it won't be. So then you're going to line up your corner of your fabric with this line here. All right. So now let's look at it again. I'm going to take my fabric, make sure everything is laying square and true. This is straight out. You should have a 90-degree angle here. And I'm going to lay, this hole is right here. And I'm going to be right on that hole. There's my seam line. So what I've done is I've lined up the marking on the side here, this hole, and here is my stitching line. And I'm going to make sure you don't have your pen, and I'm just going to cut. And this is going to be the line that I use. And notice I'm making sure that I'm straight here. I'm straight here, so I have multiple areas to tell that I'm straight. I'm just going to move this out of the way. I'm going to put a little dab of glue on this because you know that I like to do that. Sometimes it gets a little skin on it. And just pop the iron on it. Now this is what I want to show you. When you take it to your machine, you need to pick it up and pull this back. And you can see this line right here. This line right here. That's where you're going to stitch. That's exactly 1/4 inch away. And I'm going to go do that now. Alright, so this is what I want to show you. So you can see easily that based on what we did, I've got a very great line of sight. It happens to correspond with where my stitching line stopped. And I am going to, I've got a quarter inch foot, and I am going to line up this notch with this line. Have this notch lined up here, side of my foot, and this notch lined up with the corner. And now I'm just going to sew 1/4 inch from this edge. Okay, so you can see what we did. We have a complete seam line starting, we stopped here with our previous sewing. I sewed 1/4 inch. Now let's open this up and see how we did. And you should have a perfectly mitered corner. Have a little tuck in my and you should have just a 1/4 inch dogged ear there. And clip that off. Right, now we're turning our work. Okay, so we're still working top right corner. We've turned our work. And again, remember what you're doing. You're pretending that you're binding your quilt. This has got to be folded in. You're moving it up, aligning the edge here with this edge, bringing this, now pull this over, bring your top, you want your top is your guide, and you're going to adjust your bottom based on your top. And you can see the shadow here, so this becomes a perfect 45. All right, fasten it however you like. I'm just going to put a bead of glue here. Now remember what we have to do. We can't see anything here. We're going to turn our work. And we're turning our work so that everything is laying flat. Okay? Our top right-hand corner is here. That's going to be our visual. Okay? We're going to take our ruler. This is it's going to be right here. Can't see it through the viewfinder. I've got this 1/4 inch here lined up. This is on my mark. This is on my seam line. I need to move this over. I don't quite have enough room to make my... Okay. Now this is a 2-inch binding, so this needs to be lined up well there. Okay. And now what we're going to do is, don't even shut your eyes. You can go ahead and cut that. So remember, that's not your seam line. It's your 1/4 inch away. And I'm just going to put a little bead of glue on that, because you know that's what I like to do. Now remember what we're going to do. We're now going to open it up, and we're going to sew. Make sure everything's out of the way. Sew from where we stopped exactly 1/4 inch. I'll be right back. You can see I have no break in the line. Now we're going to open this up. And you can see we have another perfect 45. I'm going to press this out. I'm going to clip my perfect dog ear right here. And we've got one more to do. So what are we going to do? We're going to take our project, we're going to rotate it counterclockwise. So we're always, now this is for a right-handed person. If you're left-handed, obviously you're going to want a different way to do this. Okay, I pressed it open. Now I got to bring this back. All right, pretending like I'm binding, kind of lining that up. Okay. Remember, the bottom has to match with the top. So don't move the top. The top's got to stay straight and true. And this isn't. You can see I've got, so this is our last corner. So this is good that you see me fighting a little bit with this. There. Now both sides are even. Take your time and do this right. Okay, remember we can't see anything, so we're turning our work over. Okay, and then I'm taking my ruler. Remember, I've got my little pokey hole. I'm making sure, this isn't very straight here, but I want everything straight and true. This should be a 90 degrees. This should be straight, because that's what you did before, right? Okay, I need to get in a little bit closer. Okay, my visual cues are, this is my dot. I have a 1/4 inch mark here. I've lined up my project to that. I've got a 2-inch strip. I'm lined up here, and I'm on my seam line. So I don't have to close my eyes. All I have to do is cut. You know I'm going to do it. I'm going to put a little glue here. Not going back and forth. Now remember what we're doing. We can't see anything. We always are turning our project so that we can see what we're doing. And the most important thing that we have to see is where this line is and where this 45 is. We're going to start stitching here and stitch to the end. And let me show you what that looks like when I'm done. And if you need to straighten up your corners, you can just put a square on it and do a little trim if it looks like it's gotten a little wonky. I did it off camera, and here's a good, this looks like it might be a little long in the tooth, but no, it's actually pretty good. It must be an optical contusion, also known as a black eye. This one looks pretty good. Yeah, so there you have it. My my method for mitering corners. It works for me. I hope your mileage doesn't vary.